Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of A Happy Moment. My name is Dan. Thank you for joining me today. I have a very special guest this week. He is Tim McCarthy, the host of 20 Tim Minutes. It's a podcast that focuses on mental health. Tim, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on, Dan? Thank you so much for having
Yeah.
me on. I'm sorry that I was a little bit late today, but I'm glad we linked up.
Yeah, no problem. So Tim, what have you been up to lately?
Me, I've just been enjoying this weekend. I just had a fantasy football draft, doing just typical bro things, you know.
Mhm.
Other than that, just enjoying my time off from work and really, really appreciating it. You know what I mean? Like when you have a day off and you're like, this is what I need. So I'm
Yeah.
off for like a good week. So that's what I like.
Nice. Any big plans? Like going on any trips or anything?
No, I actually booked a trip for December that I'm going down to Nashville because I had like one of those things where like I had airline credits, but I had to use them besides like a certain date. So like I didn't know where to go. So I'm going to Nashville in like December, which is probably the weirdest time to go down. But we're gonna go see a hockey game with the Predators and Oilers, and then kind of just take in like what they have for like Christmas and stuff. But yeah, I'm always doing something random.
Okay, cool. So the way that I met Tim was we both responded to someone on Twitter when the topic of wrestling was brought up. So Tim, how long have you been a wrestling fan?
Oh man, I've been a fan for quite some time, dude. I grew up on it. It was one of those things that I was like, because I'm 36, so I grew up like the Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, um, Ted DiBiase, like Rick Rude era. But like, I really got into wrestling in my like 12-year-old, 13-year-old when like the Attitude Era was out. So I've been around the block for a bit. I'd say the newer stuff I know of. I just haven't like watched as much as I do. Like I know what's going on. If I miss something, I'll read about it. But
Mhm.
I've been big into like independent wrestling, and like I've been looking into AEW a little bit more and more. Like I know a lot of those wrestlers because of the independent scene, like Bear Country and like Orange Cassidy. Like I got to meet those dudes at like a local wrestling promotion. Like so to see like those dudes up live, then go see them on like AEW is like really cool. But yeah, I've been around with wrestling for a bit.
Nice, nice. I remember I was about the same age when the Attitude Era was going on, and back then, like you go to school the next day, like everyone on the school bus would be talking about wrestling. Uh, and its popularity has died down a little bit over the years, unfortunately. Um, but I feel like there's some big changes coming. How do you feel about Vince McMahon retiring finally?
I know, right? I To go off your first point, I feel like it definitely fell off for a bit, but I think that Daniel Bryan really brought it back with the whole yes movement. I feel like wrestling got into that because you saw like people at like college basketball games like doing the yes chant and stuff. So yeah, I think with Vince McMahon leaving, it's very exciting for everybody, especially with like wrestlers that are coming back that got fired and all this stuff. So it's like weird. It's like not a double-edged sword. It's like bittersweet because it's like Vince McMahon has been the guy for so long. And like that guy didn't take a day off in his life. Like he needs I don't know what he's gonna do with retirement, but no, with Triple H in charge, I think that's what everyone was hoping to expect, and they're seeing it pretty quickly, getting rid of the superstar and going back to wrestling and going back to belts and all that. I love that about the wrestling because like yeah, the Attitude Era was all about that. Now I feel like they're going through it. Like I just watched that clip of Seth Rollins and Riddle where he like he says he has no family because he went through a divorce. I was like, that was ruthless, absolutely ruthless.
Did you happen to check out Clash at the Castle yesterday?
I haven't watched it yet. I actually stumbled upon the reviews and the results on it. So I have a question because I didn't see the match. How was the Riddle Seth Rollins match? Because I know, did you see the thing that came out about him with the text messaging and stuff that was like just recent?
No.
So he had something where like he was texting somebody some sexual stuff and like just because he had that other thing like a year ago and like he had something like this. How was that match? Did he get squashed or anything? Or was it just like a really good match?
Oh, it was a really good match.
Okay. All right, good.
Yeah.
Because I was getting scared that they were gonna like knock him down a few pegs if he lost like in a squash match. So, but that's great. How was the pay-per-view?
I missed part of the opening match, the six woman tag team match, but I saw most of the other matches, and it was a really good show. It was, I'd say, it definitely exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, that's what
I
I
was
hear.
I was especially looking forward to Sheamus versus Gunther, and that one did not disappoint.
I heard he smacked the chest out of him like all day. I wish he wasn't Gunther. I wish he was still Walter. But yeah, I heard that match was really good.
Yeah, by the end of the match, Sheamus's chest looked like hamburger.
Yeah, like what did they say to each other before and after that? It's like, hey man, I'm gonna slap you so hard today, and it's like I couldn't imagine like having the conversation after, like, dude, you need to relax on your chest slaps because he doesn't. He gives 110% on those chest slaps.
And it's great.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want him to change. It's nice to see Gunther like being able to shine like that.
Yeah,
because I know there was some concerns about when he got moved up to the main roster, but I think with Triple H in charge now, I don't think there's anything to worry about. I think he'll be treated with the respect that he should because he's a great talent.
Yeah, I think we're all nervous too because I don't know if you remember the Survivor Series when he was on the NXT team and he got in for like maybe like 5 minutes and got hit with I forget what he got hit with. Was it the Claymore?
5 minutes is like 5 seconds.
Yeah, dude. And I remember me and my buddies were all pumped that he was up there and like even the crowd was ready for him. He just got taken out too soon. I was like, no, not another one, another casualty to Vince McMahon.
Yeah, he just got hit by like back-to-back finishers or something. That was it. And
yep.
I haven't seen everything in NXT UK, but I think that might have been the first time he got pinned in WWE. I can't say for sure though.
Yeah, because I think he was still the champ at that time. Yeah, he had a hell of a run. The UK brand I watched like probably the least out of all of them. But they got some good guys. I always like their accents and the way they dress. They're like a different breed over there, which is very entertaining. But like Tyler Bate, I remember seeing him. Like that tournament was awesome. Like for the UK belt, that whole tournament when it came down to Pete Dunne, who's Butch now, which is another name they need to get rid of. It's so bad. Yeah, you're gonna be Butch. Like, but no, yeah, the UK guys I don't really see much either.
Yeah, today's actually their last show.
Oh, they're done?
Yeah, NXT UK is finished. So what they're doing is they're getting rid of NXT UK because the plan is, I think next year maybe, they're going to launch NXT Europe. So NXT UK was just kind of, I don't know, maybe testing the waters kind of over there.
Yeah, a placeholder.
Yeah, so today at 4 o'clock, I believe they're having NXT Worlds Collide, which is NXT UK competing against like NXT, and like they're going to be unifying all the belts.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Who's fighting Braun? Not Braun, what's his name? Steiner's kid. Braun Breaker?
Yeah, Braun.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought that was wrong. Who's he fighting? Is he fighting I can't even think of these names, so you got to help me out here. Who's he fighting?
I'm trying to think of the card.
Is it Devlin?
I don't think it's Devlin. Let me pull up the card real quick because now you got me wondering. It's going to bug me if I don't find out.
And they got good matches. That's what I like about it. And then Braun Breaker, I do like a lot. I think he has shades of even his uncle in it. Like it's great. I absolutely love his character and the way he talks.
How do you feel about his name?
I feel like it could be a little bit better. It sounds like a combo move in a video game. It's like Braun Breaker. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just like it's like an up down XB button, and then you get the move, the Braun Breaker.
Yeah. All right. So it looks like we got Braun Breaker going up against, I believe that's Trent Seven.
Oh.
So it looks like Trent is the current UK champion.
That's interesting.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, my bad. Tyler Bate. Braun against Tyler Bate.
That's what I was thinking of. My bad. So wait, it's a 3-way or just them two?
Just them two. Just Bate and Breaker. See, then we got for the NXT Women's Championships, got Mandy Rose, Satomura, and Blair Davenport in a triple threat match. Got Ricochet and Carmelo Hayes for the North American title. And then there's a 4-way elimination tag team match to unify the tag team belts.
Nice. I feel like Ricochet back in NXT is like what should be the case because there's so much going on in the main roster that I feel like he needs to be like a a mini top guy and somewhere in NXT. He's good. He's really good. He's very talented.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like they don't use him too well. Like he had that bright spot in the Rumble when he like knocked down Braun and helped him get eliminated. But other than that, it's like I feel like his potential is definitely not to par.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm hoping changes with Triple H in charge now.
Yeah.
Triple H is probably the one that brought him into the company, and he had an awesome run in NXT.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever
Against
been to a NXT show?
I actually have. That's funny that you bring that up. I went out to Buffalo. I'm in Massachusetts, so we did like a 2-3 hour drive to Buffalo, and it was back when it was like Corbin had long hair, Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, like all those like heavy hitters. Like we went into the prime of it. But funny enough is I booked a hotel where they were staying and I didn't know it. So I saw like I got a bunch of photos with all of them. So Samoa Joe just walked right by everybody. He's exactly how Samoa Joe would be. Like he just didn't care and like just went. And I respect that. Like I don't think they should be obligated to stop for people that are like at the hotel or on the street. Like maybe on the street, but like if they have a signing, yeah, like that's their job. They have to sign up for it. They're people too. Last thing I want to do after work is sit there and like talk to people about my work. I'm like, yeah, thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And then all that stuff. And then I remember seeing Finn Balor. He was on crutches, but he never was injured after that. So I think he was faking it, so he didn't have to talk to anybody. And I think that's a great move too. But yeah, I met Sami Zayn, Bailey, Big Cass, Enzo. So Enzo was someone I really wanted to meet. I know he's like, say what you will about him. I think he's one of the best people on the mics of all time. And I know that's saying like that's pretty big saying, but he was so funny on the mic. But I saw him come out of the hotel and I was at like the bar next door and I was like, I need a photo with this guy. So I booked it over there to meet him. And he was like super nice about it. I have a video of him like talking to me, like, I don't know what he said. You know how like he has his all like his analogies that make zero sense. Like he did that in my video. I'll have to send it to you and show you. But yeah, that was like a really, really fun show just because of the talent that went there. Like me and my buddies used to go to ROH shows back in the day too, when it was like Kevin Steen and Tyler Black, when Seth Rollins was Tyler Black, and we saw like the Briscoe brothers. We just saw like really like between NXT and ROH, we saw like the golden years of what they were producing. And it was just like really fortunate to like see that type of stuff because like, you know, when you see good wrestling, you know, when you see bad wrestling, like, I wouldn't say like local indies bad wrestling. Like, I don't want to say anyone's bad, but like there's a big discrepancy when you see like a local wrestling event in your town versus like an NXT like live event, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A couple of years ago, I went on vacation to Florida, and this was in February, like right before COVID hit, and I got to go to an NXT show. That was really cool because it's such a small venue.
Oh, you went to like Full Sail?
Full Sail, yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, there's like not a bad seat in there. It was really cool. See, that one was. Do you watch like NXT? Like,
I watched it like I don't watch it as much anymore. But who did you see?
The main event was Roderick Strong versus Velveteen Dream.
I was watching back then.
That's the match where Velveteen like took his pants off, and then the pants underneath that had a picture of Roddy's face or his wife's face on it.
Yeah. He was ruthless too. He was such a potential talent too, and then his accusations didn't really help out his cause at all.
No, it's unfortunate.
Roderick Strong's a really good one. He's a good chopper too.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't left when the rest of Undisputed Era did. But who knows? I heard that Bobby Fish is not renewing his contract with AEW, so maybe he'll find his way back to WWE.
Really?
Maybe
that's funny and interesting because he's like not young. He's like almost pushing 40, I think. Fish.
I think he's in his 40s. Yeah.
I don't see what I don't think like. I don't know why he wouldn't stay like and just stay with O'Reilly there. That's super interesting that he didn't resign his contract. But yeah, Roderick Strong seems like the prototypical AEW guy. Like you look at a certain wrestler and you could be like, yeah, that guy's an AEW.
I know, but that was a really cool experience going there, and it was like 2 episodes before they had to shut things down for COVID. So I'm glad I had the opportunity to go there. I'd like to go back again someday. I'm actually there was a few years that went by where I didn't have access to the internet, so I got like a few years behind on my NXT viewing.
You
So
just didn't have the internet at all?
right,
How come?
just living situation at the time.
Oh, okay. How was
Uh,
it being off the grid? It was probably nice.
uh, it was interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I still went to my parents' house a lot, reached their internet,
Yeah, right.
but like currently right now I'm still in 2020 for my NXT viewing, so
That's awesome.
I haven't gotten up to like the NXT 2.0 because I know
Yeah.
that that's kind of gotten a bad rap from a lot of people. I haven't really seen much of it myself, so I can't comment. Have you seen NXT 2.0 since they made that change?
No, they always make changes when no one asks for them or like at the wrong time. It's like at the height. Like I understand because like they pretty much like lost a lot of their talent. But no, I haven't really checked out much of it. Like Braun Breaker, like I see a couple of his matches and stuff, but I try to keep up. Like when I saw Mandy Rose down there, I was like, "What?" I was like, "I don't remember that." Like I don't remember her winning the championship. I should say. Like I knew she was down there, but I was like, I don't remember her like winning. And now she's like gonna beat Asuka, or did she beat Asuka's reign yet?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
I think she's pretty much high up there on her reign right now.
I know she's had it for a long time now. I think she beat Io for the belt. I
Who?
think Io Shirai.
Oh,
I think
right. Yeah,
I think
she's not there no more. She wants to leave, I think.
no, she's on the main roster now.
Is she? I thought she
Yeah,
wanted to leave for some
yeah.
reason.
Well, that's what the rumor was. But at SummerSlam, she teamed up with Bailey, and they have their own faction now with Dakota Kai.
Yeah, yeah. They brought up a lot. What did you think about that Aaliyah winning the tag belts? Because she gets a bad rep because she was in NXT for like ever. Like she was in 1.0, 2.0, and like people yeah, people like upset that they won.
uh,
Yeah.
it's good for her. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, she like wrestling wise, she doesn't really blow me away or anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's like you said, she's been in NXT for quite some time since maybe
Yeah.
2015 or maybe before that even.
And you
So
think about the cuts they did. It's like they did all these cuts, but they kept her along. So it's kind of funny. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So they saw something in her.
whenever they go through a round of cuts, it always kind of surprises me, like who they decide to let go and who they keep.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting to see what the future holds for the women's tag team belts because when Vince was in charge, I felt like they were kind of an afterthought.
Yep.
Like I remember when there were first rumors that they might introduce the belts, I was kind of dreading it. Like not because the women wrestlers don't deserve to have their own tag team belts, just because I didn't have faith in the WWE to handle them correctly. I
Yeah.
felt like they would just turn into a cheap prop that gets passed around like all the time, and they
Yep.
don't really pay any attention to it. Uh, so I hope they start to get taken more seriously now, and I think with Triple H they will be. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I feel like they have the right amount of belts. I feel like when it comes to belts too, I feel like AEW has way too many belts. Don't you think?
I haven't watched a whole lot of AEW, but I do read the results, and like I know they just introduced another one not that long ago, the All Atlantic belt, or
Oh
is it?
yeah, it's like the it's like their version of the European Championship.
Yeah,
That's pretty much what it is. But then they have the trios belt out now. They have like you can be a TBS and TNT champion, get the
yeah.
FTW belt back. It's like everybody's got. If you don't have a belt, you're not cool.
Yeah, like I'm a big fan of the Stardom wrestling promotion over in Japan,
Yeah,
uh, and they have great wrestling over there. But sometimes I kind of wish they might get rid of a belt or two, because it's like 1/3 of the roster is a champion, and like it's not
yeah.
uncommon for someone to be holding two belts at the same time.
They
But
don't mean much after that. You know what I mean? It's like I have all these belts that like don't do anything, and it's very weird.
like in Stardom, they have this belt called the SWA Championship, and it's a belt where you can only defend it against a person of a different nationality,
Okay.
but they don't have very many foreigners in there right now. So
Yeah, right.
so if like someone that's Japanese is holding the belt, there's like two people in the promotion they can defend it against right now. So
Yeah.
it's like
What
seems kind of
promotion is this?
unnecessary. Stardom.
Okay.
It's
I
called
don't know them too much.
World Wonder Ring Stardom. I just discovered them last year. It's great. It's uh, later on. I'll have to send you a link to the match. You can check it out.
Yeah, please do.
Let's take a look back at the Attitude Era real quick.
Yeah.
What made that era special? Do you think?
It made it special because it, for like our age, it made it seem like we like knew what like adults were doing, and it was like you got to see like the badass side of like what they were doing. It's like, dude, they're doing so much. Like you were saying, like people would get on the school bus and like talk about it. Like I was in like classes, and then like the substitute teacher wasn't looking. I was giving her like the suck it sign. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't have been doing that, but like we were. And then like we'd like go down and be like, oh, you didn't know? Like, dude, just saying like we would say that stuff kind of out loud, and like you'd be like, we're gonna get in trouble. But it was it was literally a different era back then. But yeah, it just made it special because it was just so like raw and uncut, like, and it was so believable. Like you really got into it. The storylines were like very detailed. The even like the mid carders had great, like you had someone like Al Snow and like Steve Blackman, like they had like funny skits and funny like storylines and stuff. So that's what I like most about it, is because they had everybody involved, and then they had their different tiers that didn't really like intertwine with like the other storylines and stuff. But like then you would get excited when like one guy gets into the other story, and you're like, oh my god, like best of both worlds. And then plus you got like the Montreal Screwjob that was like at the time, like I had no idea what was going on until I was like older. I was like, this is weird. I remember just being like, Bret Hart seems mad. Now he's talking about WCW, and it's just like bananas. It's like the same thing with like the Rick Rude thing. When Rick Rude was on both episodes on the same day, he was on Nitro and Raw. And I was like, as a kid, I'm like, how did he travel that? Like I was like, what is going on? Yeah, that was so what was your favorite part of the Attitude Era?
Oh man, it's a tough question.
Yeah, dude.
You know, like one of the things that you mentioned, like even the mid carders, it felt like they were important. It like, felt like they were involved in something. Like everyone on the roster felt like they had their own role, and they were actually worth something to the show. They weren't just there to like get squashed or thrown away real quick and be discarded. And this was kind of like maybe a year before the Attitude Era like really took off. But one of my favorite non-wrestling segments in wrestling was the Steve Austin Brian Pillman feud. Remember when Steve went to Brian Pillman's house?
Yeah, and had a gun.
As a kid watching that, man, that was intense.
Yeah. And then after that, it was always a La Femme Nikita episode right after a Raw episode, and I never watched it. It was always like, I always knew what La Femme Nikita was, never watched an episode. But yeah, I remember that too, and being like, this
Pillman 9mm.
Yeah, dude. And then it cut out, and you're like, what just happened? Being a kid, it was just like so fun being a kid watching that stuff.
Do you think we would have felt differently about that era if we were adults at the time?
See, I don't know, because adults, I feel like were mostly in the crowd too. Granted, they probably just bring in their kids and stuff, but then you have like that video of like the Triple H telling like the girl in the crowd to like flash, and she was like a full grown woman, and like she like flashed her boobs at like the crowd. So it's like, I think like as an adult, like we are now, like we're adults, we still like wrestling, even though it's not like the Attitude Era, and it's kind of getting there right now. But no, I think we'd still be into it. Like it's one of those things, like we'd be too into it. Like I dressed up before too. Like I would go and like be dressed up instead of like being a kid or like holding a sign. I did bring a sign one time to a SmackDown. I wrote, "The guy behind me can't see," and you know what I mean. But no, yeah, I think I would be more into it if I was an adult, because I love like going to shows. I went to Death Before Dishonor ROH just recently, and saw FTR versus the Briscoes. So that was really fun. I didn't dress up, but I was really into that.
Nice. You had mentioned to me you have a story involving Austin Theory.
Oh yeah. So this guy, he owes me $10. All right. So I went to an Evolve show. Do you know Evolve? They were like owned by the WWE, and then they had like their own special on the WWE network. It was kind of like very kind of low key. Did you know that or no?
I know of it. I never watched any of it, but I know of it.
Yeah, so like the card we went to, the Velveteen Dream took on Orange Cassidy. Um, John Silver was there. I think he wrestled Austin Theory, and then like some other matches and stuff. But so like you wait in line and they're all like there or whatever. And I met Orange Cassidy, just went up to him, took a photo. That was it. So I went up to somebody else. I forget who it was. And then I see Austin Theory, and he's like the Evolved champ. So I take a photo with him. I'm like, do you mind if I take a photo with you? He's like, yeah, definitely. He took a photo. He's like, all right, that'd be $10. I'm like, what? I'm like, no one else just charged me. Like, you just charged me $10 for a photo with you, and I'll send you the photo of me and him. And like my buddy put like the crying Jordan face over my head because I remember just like steaming the whole night. I'm like $10 is fine. I'll put the $10 up if I knew I was getting into it. I probably wouldn't have paid it for him, but I get it. And I was just like, this guy like duped me into giving him 10. I don't even know if he was really charging people or he just told me to give him $10. And I'm such like a pushover that I was just like, all right, here's your $10. Photo's not even that great, but yeah. Screw Austin Theory. If I ever see him, I'm bringing it up. I'm not scared to bring it up to him. But yeah, that's my Austin Theory. But like, so I think we went to 2 Evolve shows, and one of them had Matt Riddle and Gargano and Ciampa. And Matt Riddle was probably the nicest guy in the world. So me and my buddy were last in line, and he had to go. He was like going. He's like, all right, who's last? And he saw us 2, and he was like, well, I'm waiting until this is over. And like, he sat there and like talked to us for like 5 minutes. He was like, we got a photo with him. He was like super nice. He was definitely exactly like how you would, he's who he is on TV, the way he talks and everything. Like, he's like, bruh, like all that stuff. And then, so I met Gargano and Ciampa, and I was wearing my Owen 316 shirt, which is Austin, I broke your neck. And it was, so I was wearing that. And Ciampa looks at me. He's like, "You're a real asshole for wearing that," because he just broke his neck. Remember when he broke his neck?
Yeah.
So he wasn't happy with that shirt at all. But no, he was really cool. Those 2 were wicked nice as well too. I like obviously they weren't really obligated because it wasn't like a WWE show, so I'm not sure why they were there. But it's like stuff like that, like when someone's just like really cool, like the little thing with like Matt Riddle, like making sure he waited for like the last 2 people was like really cool of him. So like one of those dudes. But like Austin Theory, guy can go pound sand.
There's only 2 wrestlers I've ever met. I live in a small city in Michigan, and wrestling hardly ever comes here. But back in 2003 and 2004, there was a indie promotion that came here. The first year I met Buff Bagwell. Got a picture.
I used to love Buff Bagwell.
I know. Buff was awesome. I got my picture taken with him. He was really nice. He made sure to tell me to be careful that I didn't smudge the autograph on there, to let the marker dry. He was real nice. They came back next year, and this time they had Marty Jannetty.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, so it was kind of weird with Marty because, so halfway through the show they do the intermission, and the wrestlers are out in the lobby, and you can go up, get their autograph. So I go up to Marty, and I asked him if I could get a picture taken with them. Because, some of them, like most of them, they had like their own cameras, like the Polaroids, so like prints off right away. And he's like, "Oh, you want a picture with me? Sure. Let me go find a camera." So he leaves. I'm waiting. Never comes back. So
he never came back?
No, he never came back. I don't know if he forgot or if he got distracted by something or what, but
oh man,
never came back.
Screw
so
Jannetty.
Bummer.
Yeah, that is a bummer. That would have been a good get. Buff Bagwell, oh man, I used to love. He's like, I'm buff, I'm tough, and the girls just can't get enough. We had a backyard wrestling, like me and my friends, like when we were in middle school or whatever, and I was the Buff Bagwell guy because I loved Buff. The Buff Blockbuster, great move, great name.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Buff Daddy back in the day.
Oh yeah,
it was really cool meeting him. Great. Have you seen him lately on Twitter?
He doesn't he's like oh no, I haven't seen him on Twitter. I've seen Disco Inferno like burying himself on Twitter.
Oh yeah,
what's Buff up to?
Buff is working on reinventing himself. Is
he born again?
I don't know how to describe it really, but he's going through this like Buff is for everybody. He's like being like real inclusive and
Oh, okay,
supportive of
yeah,
everyone.
yeah, I
And
saw that.
he had some project where he was like doing a Mr. Rogers photo shoot or something. But he was dressed up like Mr. Rogers, and that was kind of weird because he had the goatee shaved off and everything.
Oh, really? Yeah, I remember him like he had like a bad couple of years. I think he had like calf implants that like went south on him. Like
Mm,
he wasn't like healthy. Then he was on that show about being a gigolo. Do
yeah,
you remember that?
yeah. And then there was like some photos of him from a few years ago where he looked like all beat up and like in really rough shape.
Yeah.
And I think just within this past year, he kind of reemerged on Twitter, and he's been, as he puts, he's working on reinventing himself. So good for Buff. I'm happy for him. It's good to see him around again.
Yeah, he got a bad he got to WWF and he had that one match and he got let go. I
Uh,
think Vince didn't like him at all.
yeah, that was extremely disappointing. Because like I was
Yeah.
so excited to see him in the WWE. He has
Yeah.
that match with Booker T. Wasn't the greatest match, but then after that they cut him,
Yeah.
and
Wasn't Austin involved? Like Austin stunned him too or no?
I'm not
I feel
sure.
like I feel like Austin was involved at some point. But yeah, he would have been perfect for the invasion too, because they didn't really have any of those like big WCW names for the invasion. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
They just had like if they had Sting, like obviously they had Booker T. Like Booker T was probably like the biggest one that they got out of that. But it would have been cool if they had like the real NWO, like instead of like doing it the way they did. They like Buff Bagwell would have been a good player to have in that instead of like they missed on the invasion. I feel like the invasion could have been very well done and it was entertaining, don't get me wrong, but I felt like it was definitely missing something in someone.
Yeah, yeah, and who knows how things would have turned out differently if Kevin Nash hadn't torn his quad when they were doing the NWO thing. Because
Yep.
that put an end to that, unfortunately.
Yep.
Although they,
Always blowing up their quads. Like, what about Vince McMahon at the Rumble when he blew up both of his quads? Remember that?
yeah, yeah,
Oh my god, dude! And the fact that he stayed in character and like didn't show any pain just goes to show like his dedication and probably all the medication and pills he was on.
like, what are the odds that you tear both your quads at the same time?
Yeah, dude, like that was insane. And like he's just sitting there, and everyone's like, "What is going on?"
He didn't miss a beat though.
No, no, he didn't at all.
All-time favorite wrestler?
Mr. Perfect. I've always loved Mr. Perfect. I think he has. I had this debate with a friend, and it's like like the finishing moves, like the Stone Cold Stunner and the Rock Bottom, iconic. Like you can't take those away from them. Anybody can do the Stone Cold Stunner. Anybody can do the Rock Bottom. But the Perfect Plex, like you got to be legit. And when he hit that on Paul White in WCW, it's like, dude, like I know, like the other guy has to give you some support in a move. Like that's pretty much what it is. But yeah, Mr. Perfect, he just had it all. He was perfect. And like he was great on the mic. He was a great wrestler. His character was great because like it was just one of those dudes you like had to hate, but then he became a good guy and it was even better. Like him, Razor, and Rick Rude are kind of like they were like all friends too. They were all like in the same like type of wrestler I liked. You know what I mean? Like a dude that's like macho, like girls love him and they're good at stuff. It's like you usually hate that guy, and I love to hate people. So like Ted DiBiase's another one. Like I think he's one of like the greatest villains of all time. Like he's the one that exposed like that Earl Hebert. Oh, what's his name? What's his name? Earl
Hebner, the referee.
Earl Hebner. Like he had a twin brother. Like that's like we brought him in because he was like the stand-in or anything, and like he was Andre's valet and all that. But yeah, I'd say with like the golden era would be Mr. Perfect. I think Attitude Era, I think it'd have to be Stone Cold. Like you can't not pick like one of like the big names there. Like I love Shawn Michaels, I love Bret Hart. I think they're great wrestlers, but I think if I had to go Attitude Era, like Austin was just on a different level. And then I think now I think it might be Riddle. I think it really might be Riddle. I think it was AJ Styles for a bit. I liked AJ Styles a lot. I still do. But I think what Riddle brings, because I'm a big UFC guy and big MMA guy, that like he's like a legit tough guy. And like his interaction with Goldberg was hysterical. He wants to fight Brock. Like he just doesn't care, and I love it. He's always just high. So it's like he's like a big like golden retriever. You can't really like hate on him.
And he has his first name back now too.
I know, man. It's like, why are they just like making people one names like they're all Seal or McLovin? You like give them like a real name.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of goofy. Uh,
Who's yours?
all time Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Um, Attitude Era. I was a big X Pac fan.
Okay. Okay. I like it.
Yeah, right now, oh man, it's tough.
It is tough. I was
Yep.
actually I was actually just on the Knocking Doors Down podcast, and he said, "What would my dream WrestleMania be?" And I told him, I was like, it's kind of unconventional, but it'd be for the IC belt, and it would be Mr. Perfect versus Bret Hart. And I was like, that would be a phenomenal match at WrestleMania. That was like, I think it was like a SummerSlam match, but yeah, that was my pick for like what match I would pick for like a dream match.
How do you feel about when Mr. Perfect returned to the WWE? I think in the early 2000s. I don't, from
Dude,
what I recall, I don't think they really did much with him. Like I don't remember him being part of any storylines or anything.
so he came back and he was in the Rumble. And then I think they were trying to work him around to see what he was doing. And then the plane ride from hell happened. And he got in a fight with Brock Lesnar on the plane. Because did you know about that?
I've heard about the plane ride from hell. I didn't know about that particular story with Brock.
Yes. So if you have Hulu or you know someone that has Hulu, they do like the Dark Side of the Ring, and they do that episode. And I knew this already. That's why they fired him, is because so Mr. Perfect was a huge prankster, and like that plane ride from hell was like crazy. Like everyone's boozed up, they're all restless. So he put like shaving cream on his head and just like smacked it. And Brock, obviously, like young 20-year-old, like just pissed. So they like tackled each other and they hit like the emergency door. Like obviously it takes a lot more for like the door to open, but like I think the alarm sounded or something. So like after like all the allegations with like other people on there, like Ric Flair and like Scott Hall, they had to let some people go, and Mr. Perfect was one of them they had to let go. And then not too long after that is when he overdosed. So like if they never let go of him, it's like who knows if he would have stayed alive or not.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he wasn't really into like anything. Like he had a pretty decent Royal Rumble like match. Like he was in there for a bit, and it was cool to see him. But yeah, I wish they kept him a little bit longer. He was funny in WCW because I was a big rap fan, and the rap is crap, the like
Yeah.
country group and stuff.
The West Texas Rednecks, I think.
Yeah, dude. I love random what is it? Random groups or whatever. What were they? Stables. I love a good random stable. I think one of the most random ones of all time, and they knew it, was the Union. Remember the Union? It was Test, Big Show, Mankind, and
Shamrock?
Ken Shamrock.
Yeah.
What a like they were just throwing people in together. They're like, just put them together. They'll be fine.
They didn't last too long, did they, as a group?
No. I like then you have like the pretty much the race wars between like Nation of Domination and then the Apocalypse. Oh no, what were they called? It was like 8 Ball and
the
DOA.
Disciples of the Apocalypse?
Yeah, and then the Los Boricuas. It was like legit race wars they were putting on like WWE, and it was entertaining. Like they would do the Attitude Era was good when you think about it. Like when you like look back on it, like what they did. Like you could think of one like X-Pac. Like he had a great run too, man. And like when he showed up, he made a big statement and stuff. What do you think about the X-Pac heat though? I didn't know that was a thing. The X-Pac heat.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't give much credence to it, because and I don't even know where that even came from. Because
Yeah,
X-Pac, I thought he was always pretty popular when he was around.
that's what I'm saying.
Like all the matches that I remember him being in, like when he was a face, he was cheered quite a bit.
Yeah,
I think there was even, I don't know if it was a WrestleMania or a different pay-per-view, but it was when Stone Cold was feuding with the Ministry, and like at the very end of the show, I think it was X-Pac running out to the ring to help Stone Cold fight off the Ministry.
Oh,
And
really?
so
I
like
remember that one.
he was in some big moments.
Yeah.
I guess when he turned heel, people didn't care about him as much, and maybe that's where the X-Pac heat came from. But I don't really buy into because that's a phrase that still gets used today. You know, they say like so and so has X-Pac heat. I think that's just them being a good heel because you're not supposed to like the heels.
Yep, exactly. They always said it's like it's better to have someone boo you than have someone do nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The moment you get no reaction, that's when you know you're in trouble. But as long as as long as you're getting some kind of reaction out of the crowd, then I think you're good.
Yeah, I would love to be a heel. I think that's probably the most fun for people to be in wrestling. They probably absolutely love it.
Hmm. And I know you got beef with him, but Austin Theory, like I think he's doing a good job being a heel because I know a lot of people
Yeah,
complain about him and say, "Oh, he sucks, get him out of here." But he's doing a good job at getting people to dislike him.
yeah.
That's what
No,
he's
he
supposed to be
really
doing.
is too. And he's like one of the over the top sellers too. He's like when you got stunned or whatever, and he just got like mollywopped out of the ring. But no, yeah, he's definitely a great talent. Just he's a schemer. He just schemed me out of $10. It's just insane. I saw something on Reddit earlier today, and it's funny that we're talking about it. Is like it was like wrestling things you didn't realize at the time, and it was like the one that stuck out for me was mankind. And if it's a compound word of man and kind, so another word for man is dude, and another word for kind is love. So like
Oh,
mankind, dude, love. I didn't put that together. I was just like, oh my god. And then the other one was Shawn Michaels. Was his gimmick was pretty much that of a stripper, and like I didn't even think of that either. I was like, yeah, you're kind of right. Like he is like a male stripper. Like when he comes out, like takes off his metal things and everything. And then the other one was Phineas Godwin and Henry O. Godwin. It was Hog and Pig.
yep,
That was
yeah.
their acronyms. Yeah. So I knew that one, but the Mankind one threw me through a loop. I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that.
That's the first time I
But
heard of
like,
it.
yeah, crazy. And it's like Cesaro's finisher was the neutralizer, and he's from Switzerland, and like they're very neutral. So I'm like, oh my God. Or like the New Day's finishing move is the Midnight Hour, which is the start of a new day, the Midnight Hour.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah,
And
these are things that were blowing my mind.
what I just saw on Twitter like a month ago maybe was Triple H in the pedigree. Have you seen that one?
Because he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and I remember the pedigree. No, what was that one?
So go find like a video or something when he's giving someone the pedigree. Like when he's got him in the position, it looks like the letter H.
Oh my God, like a lowercase h.
Lowercase H, yeah.
Yeah,
I,
dude, I didn't know that. I gotta text that one to my buddy after because that's what we were doing. Oh my God. Oh, that's awesome.
I know that's crazy. The stuff that you find out later. It's like
Yeah,
right in front of you, but you don't even think about it.
yeah, exactly.
I was curious about asking you. You were on a game show. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, I was on the match game with Alec Baldwin. Yeah, it was really fun. I got selected through that and went out to New York and just filmed it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I ended up winning the whole thing. So it's something that like I remember at the time, like I remember just being like, I need to soak this in and really like appreciate everything. And the funny thing was like you got to bring your own clothes. And I felt like I was in like an 80s montage where like I put on something. I came out of the room and they're like, go back in. They're like, gave me another thumbs down. So they ended up dressing me. They gave me a shirt. Like I got to keep my jeans, but they're like, yeah, your clothes aren't doing it for us. So they get like the shirt I'm wearing in the episode, not even my shirt. I tried stealing it at the end, but then I realized I'm like, if I just win and I'm trying to steal a shirt, I'm probably in the contract that they're gonna negate what just happened. But it was a lot of fun, man. It was like so it was Jason Alexander, aka Costanza from Seinfeld. It
Okay.
was Bubba Watson was there, Constance Zimmer, Fluffy, and it was just like it was really fun. I was the last episode to be filmed that day, and there was probably like 14 people. I was there from like 6 a.m. to like 6 p.m. It was like a long day, and they're like hopping me up on Red Bulls, making sure I'm like still ready to go. And yeah, the final question, because you got to fill in the blank. Like one of the questions when I first started, it was like, lazy Larry, so lazy. During a 5K, he took a what? And it was like, took a nap, and like that stuff. So then the second to last round, I had to fill in Michelle Blank. What would you say for Michelle Blank? What would you put in the blank?
Michelle Blank.
Yeah, like what would the blank be? Like some people said Michelle Pfeiffer. Like what would you say? Michelle Pfeiffer was like the third answer, but like Michelle Blank, who would you say?
Um, what year was this?
This was 2019.
Probably would have said Michelle Obama, I guess.
Yep, that's the answer. So
Okay.
I won I won $5,000 on that. So then I went to the final stage, and if I matched him exactly, I would have won $25,000, which I did. So this one was blank code. What would you say for blank code?
Blank code. I'd probably say Morse code.
That's what dude. So that was the answer. And in my head, I was like, maybe it's bro code. And in my head, I'm like, George Costanza is not thinking bro code. So then after, people like on my Facebook were like, oh, I would have said zip code or area code. And I was like, I'm so glad I didn't think of either of
I
those.
didn't think that
Like,
either.
yeah, dude, I would have been so mad because like oh man, but yeah, Morse code. I was like, I couldn't believe it when they flipped it around. I still have the card today. I don't know if it's in here. But yeah, I have the card that he signed it with the answer of Morse code on it. So I was like, that it's just like a cool thing to have. And yeah, I just had a lot of fun with it. And I think anybody out there that always asks like, oh, how'd you get on the game show? What you got to do is just like go to the website of like CBS, NBC, like any of those things. There's Facebook pages, there's everything. And then you just got to apply. You got to kind of have like something that stands out about you. And you got to turn yourself up to an 11. You know what I mean? Like you got to like really be like over the top. Like you just got to like not like overdo it and be like, bah! You just got to be like super extra in your ways, like answer questions like very like loudly, if that makes sense. But yeah, if anyone wants to be on a game show, you just got to just apply first and then just like really present yourself as like a job interview.
Was it like did you do like a video of yourself that you had to send in to get on the show?
You usually do. I don't know if I did this time around. So funny enough, the woman that recruited me for the first show I was on before. So I was on this game show that no one really remembers or even seen. It was called Let's Ask America. It was filmed online, so it was like a Zoom. So like you would go up against contestants on like Zoom. And so it'd be like, well, it was on Skype at the time. And it was a game show from your house. And I lost first. Like Kevin Pereira was like the host, and now it's like Bill Bellamy. Um, but yeah, that was like a game show I was on. I lasted probably all like 10 minutes, and it was like a would you rather like answer. It's like we polled America, and it was either this answer or that answer. And I don't even remember what the thing was. But yeah, that was so she remembered me from that. And she loved me a lot. So she said to apply for the match game, and I did, and I got on that. So trying to work on hopefully getting on Big Brother. I applied for that and obviously didn't make it, but that's like another game show I'd love to be on just because I can definitely sit in a house all day.
That's awesome. Is your episode on YouTube or somewhere else?
The match game, yeah, you can go on YouTube. It's season 3, episode 14. If you type in match game Bubba Watson, that's the episode I'm on. Or type in match game Tim McCarthy Bubba Watson, you'll find it. But it's like season 3, episode 14 or 15 or something like that.
Okay. So at any point during the filming for that, did you get to like meet and hang out with the celebrities there? Or?
So between like commercial breaks and stuff, they were all like talking to each other, but then they'd like talk to me or whatever, and that was cool. Alec Baldwin would talk to me a little bit, and like he is such a like a polarizing figure that like when he talked to me, I felt like he was looking through me. Like I felt like I was talking to someone's dad. Like it was just like he was wicked nice. Like no one was like he wasn't like overly talking. Like he wasn't like, oh, how are you? Like where are you from? Blah blah blah. It was like he was there just like doing his job, but everyone was super nice and welcoming. Like everyone, you could tell everyone was having a lot of fun.
Nice. And I've never watched that game show before. Were you competing against other people? Or
I never watched the game show before either. And yeah, so I went up against a girl. She was awesome. She was from Florida. Her name was Kim. And my name's Tim. But like when they asked me, like, oh, what do you want to be called? Because I think they wanted to do the Tim versus Kim thing, but I wanted to be called Timothy. And they were like, why? I was like, because no one calls me Timothy except for the doctor's office. Like, no one's like, hey, Timothy, what's up? It's always like, Timothy, like when I'm like next up for my appointment. So I was like, I need someone to call me Timothy in somewhere in my life. So I had them call me Timothy. And so like having Alec Baldwin having to call me by my legal real first name was just like wicked funny to me. But yeah, the girl I went up to, she just didn't do that great of a job. And if you play the game, it's pretty obvious that like one question is a lot easier than the other. So I got the hard one first, but she didn't get any on hers. So then the next round I go, okay, I got to make sure to pick A because I feel like that won't be the same thing. So I got a super easy question and she got like a tough one. Mine was like, mine was the lazy Larry. It's like he didn't run a 5K, he ran a 0.5K. And I was like, oh, a nap. And I got 5 out of 6. Hers was like, what would you find at the match game like store or something? It was like the question didn't even like make sense. Like if match game had a store, like what would they sell? And it was just like a complicated question. So like that's how they do the show, it seemed like.
what was the answer? Do you remember?
So they said different. So it's up to what the celebrity picks for an answer. So you have to match them exactly. And a lot of them said like cards or like liquor or stuff like that because they're all drinking. They're like every like commercial break somehow brought them a drink. So like that was cool. And then they're not shy about it either. Like you can see it when you watch the episode. They're just like having drinks and stuff. So I think that's probably a really fun game show to be on as a celebrity, I would say.
Nice, nice. I'll have to try that sometime. Just applying for a game show. Yeah, that'd be a
Do
lot
it,
of
man.
fun.
Yeah, do it. There's definitely games out there for everybody. There's game shows on everything now. Like even Netflix has them. Like it doesn't have to be like a big name.
Yeah.
Like I want to go on like Supermarket Sweep. Like I want to go on some like random ones. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
that would be really fun.
Did any like new opportunities present themselves to you like after you were on the match game? Like did anyone approach you like, hey, I saw you on there. Would you want to try this instead? Or...
The after I won, these two old women like congratulated me like I was part of their family. After that, like I'll reach out to the people that helped me out and just be like, oh, is there anything else coming out? And they'll be like, oh, this and that. And sometimes like I'm just like, yeah, that wouldn't suit me or whatever. Like I just wouldn't fit in with that. But no one's really coming to me. There's been a couple people I've talked to and they've like, I've seen your episode because I had a mustache, I was bald, and they're like, yeah, I remember your episode. I was like, that's so cool. Cause I was like very vain too. Like I was like reading the tweets of like the game as they were going on and what the people was saying. And it was just like so funny. Like, yeah, look at this kid's mustache and all this. It was just wicked fun. But yeah, it's one of those things I'll just like never forget. And what's even funnier, I thought of this, you know how like they have like the game show channel where they show like old school games?
Yeah.
They're gonna do that with mine in like 20 years. Like they're gonna show like my episode to like the older crowd. Like that was me. I was on the game show network. Like I think that's just gonna be funny.
Very cool. The last thing I'd like to talk to you about today is, would you like to talk a little bit about your podcast?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, I run the podcast 20 Tim Minutes. It's a podcast that focuses on mental health through humor, insight, and personal stories. So Tuesdays I have my own personal episodes that are roughly 20 minutes. The gag is that because I'm diagnosed with ADHD, I can only talk to myself for so long. And I'm also diagnosed with bipolar and general anxiety, which I'm pretty open about. Then on Thursdays, I have interviews with a wide variety of guests, there's no time limit. And my guests are usually very confused why the episodes are called 20 Tim Minutes. But I've had people on like Dane Cook. I've had Al Snow on. I had adult entertainer Felicity Feline, Chris Herron from the Boston Celtics, who's a motivational speaker. Pretty much like a wide variety of people that are into the mental health community and mental health awareness and advocates and stuff. So my interviews are a lot of fun. I haven't had one bad one yet, and everyone that's been on it, I absolutely loved it. So anyone out there that wants to come check it out, come say hi. I'm always around, and you can find me on Twitter. The 22 minutes is a pretty easy thing to find, so you can definitely find me out there.
How long have you been doing the podcast for?
Just November 2020. So I'll be coming up on my 2 years this November.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So how do you go about determining who you get on the show? Do you have like specific people that you look for, or are there just people that like you're fans of?
Right. So if someone doesn't like stick out to me, like someone like Chris Herron, like I know like he does like he battled alcoholism and stuff, and that's like a big one is like drugs and alcohol. Like that's how people like that affects your mental health like really bad. Like obviously if you don't drink responsibly, like it's kind of like catch up to you. But no, my secret is I just kind of like keyword search mental health on like Twitter and stuff, and then like I'll see what people are tweeting about, or like I'll see something in the news about someone being a mental health advocate, or like someone will come up in my head and I'm like, oh, what are they doing? Because I saw Al Snow. Like Al Snow's not a huge mental health advocate, but like I wanted to have him on for like the wrestling perspective of it all, like getting beat up in the ring and like how that was, and like how that was on your body and your mental health. And I got to ask him too about like no one asked him this, and he didn't really give me an answer, but he was the match right before Owen Hart died at that pay-per-view, and I asked him like what that was like, and he was like talking about it. I was like, and the question that everyone always asked was, do you think they should have stopped the pay-per-view? And he said, he's like, well, it wasn't up to me, so I can't give an answer. And it was a typical like sports person answer. Like they didn't want to give like either side, which I respect. But yeah, stuff like that. I try to incorporate like all my episodes with like mental health and just like what they think about it. Because everyone has mental health. Not everyone has a mental illness. So everyone has the ability to speak about mental health and just like what makes them happy, what makes them sad, what they think it means to them, like everything. That's why I think that my show is very, it's very fun in a weird way. Like like I said, it's like I break the stigma by cracking a smile, because we should be able to talk about anything with like the sense of a joke, whatever. If we're talking about wrestling, making jokes, mental health, it's like we're not making fun of anybody. I'm not making fun of anybody's like mental illness, but it's like we got to have some fun if we're going to talk about something so like something so heavy.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that there is kind of this stigma around mental health in this country.
Yeah.
What do you do to? There's a lot of toxic stuff out there. What do you do to like stay happy and keep your spirits up?
It is very tough. There is a lot of toxicity out there. I think what I do is I make sure to get enough sleep. I like to see people, like to chat with people, stay busy. Like I do video games, movies from time to time. I kind of just watch the same things over and over again. I'm not that entertaining. I'm not that entertaining when it comes to entertainment. But yeah, like I train jujitsu. Like I try to do that as much as I can. So yeah, you're definitely out there. Like it's easy to get upset, and there's things that can hold you down, and it's not easy to fight back. But there are good things in life. There are good people in life that you can find and go do something. But yeah, that's for me. It's definitely like just staying active, proactive, doing something.
Very cool. We're coming up on the. You mentioned movies. We're coming up on the Halloween season. Do you have any favorite Halloween movies?
Oh, Ernest Scared Stupid.
Oh,
Everyone loves Hocus Pocus, but I'm telling you, Ernest Scared Stupid is just a step above it, and that's my favorite Halloween movie. Nothing says Halloween like Ernest Scared Stupid. That movie will make me laugh every time, and I'm laughing about it right now. When he runs over the troll and he goes, "How about a bumper sandwich, booger lips?" Absolutely kills me. And I say that out of context all the time, and nobody ever gets it. It's like when I meet a person named Andy, and I go, "Andy," and that's from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, because when he runs in that big guy Andy, like I always remember like these like, intricate scenes in movies, and like those like the main two that I always say, and no one knows what they're from. But yeah, Ernest Scared Stupid, I think, is my favorite. I think actually like a real horror movie would be like Evil Dead 2. I think Evil Dead 2 is my favorite like scary movie of all time. And then when it comes to like monsters wise, like Mike Myers is good and all, but I'm a big Jason guy. I
okay.
like he's got the hockey mask. He can't swim. That's kind of like me because I don't know how to swim either. So me and him kind of bond over the old I can't swim, and then he just hates people too. So no, I don't really hate people, but I think Jason is he's my favorite. I actually got him tattooed on my leg, so yeah, I can't not say Jason.
Nice. Jason, he's kind of a tragic figure in a way because he was bullied as a kid, and then he ends up drowning in the lake.
Yep.
So he had some unfortunate circumstances in his early life that led to him becoming what he is. But
Yep.
yeah, definitely enjoy Jason. I'd say my favorite horror movie all time is The Thing. Have you seen that one?
The Thing. That's funny that you say that. That's probably like my 1B or 1C when it comes to. I think The Thing is great. Now, at the end of the movie, do you think Childs is the Thing or no?
When I watched the movie, I honestly had no idea. I didn't know what to think.
Yeah.
But that is something that was answered. I don't know if you know about it.
Oh, there was that because I was wondering because McCready, he had the like bottle, and it was like they think it was the bottle of gas because he was making Molotov cocktails, and he gave it to him, and he took a sip, and then he like kind of smiles. Is that what they said?
No, so do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, of course.
So they released the Thing video game, and John Carpenter said that he considered that canon. And so in the opening of the video game, we find that Childs froze to death.
Really?
Yeah, so you stumble across, I think his corpse is there. Like the first level of the video game is you're exploring the outpost where everything happened, and you find Childs there, but McCready's missing. And then at the end of the game, you're fighting the last boss, and McCready shows up to help you. So,
no way.
yeah, that was on the.
I gotta get that game.
That was on the original Xbox.
I think it was on PlayStation 2 as well.
Oh, okay. I never had a PlayStation 2. Yeah, no, it's a good game. It was kind of split up into two halves. Like the first half is more survival horror. The second half, I didn't like the second half as much because they almost turned it into more of an action game, I guess.
Gotcha.
Like, I liked it more. I thought The Thing is better as a survival horror, but
yep.
if you have a chance, definitely check it out. It was a lot of fun.
The best scene in that movie is when they're all tied up and the other guy gets like, he's like, get me out of here. Like that scene is so great.
They're doing
but
the blood
yeah,
test.
the thing, what is it? The blood. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the blood test. Yeah, man. It's so funny. I love that scene every time. But yeah, that movie is elite.
Yeah. And I'm going to have to check out Ernest Scared Stupid because I remember watching that as a kid, but I haven't seen it since.
Oh my God.
I
It
do
still holds
remember,
up.
like, as a kid watching most of the Ernest movies, and I do remember I like Scared Stupid a lot more than the others. So
Yeah.
I'm going to have to see if I can find that one out there and give another watch.
Yeah, you definitely have to.
Hey, Vern.
Yeah. Hey, Vern.
All right. Tim, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, man. Dan, thank you so much. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to link up.
Yeah, we definitely have to get together in the future and do something. It was a lot of fun. Thank you. And hey, enjoy the rest of the year. It's going by fast.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it is. You too.
All right. Thank you. All right. And once again, that was Tim McCarthy. Very cool guy. Had a lot of fun talking to him. If you'd like to learn more about his podcast and what he does, you can find him on his website, 20timminutes.com. That's the number 20, TIMINUTES.com. You can also find him on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Search for 20 Tim Minutes. He also has his very own app that you can download as well. That's all I've got for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to chat or if you have any questions, you can find me on Twitter at A Happy Moment Pod. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.